coming up. This is a Soul Fire production.
Alright, here we are, episode 46, cuz.
46, yes.
46. Happy days, brother. Almost to the half century. Today we're joined by the very handsome Uelese Mua.
I like how you've kept the good-looking footy player theme going.
Yeah.
If you're going to help with the views.
I know.
Smart.
That's what I'm trying to do, mate. That's what I'm
Good,
trying
nice,
to do.
nice. Good.
How are yours?
Good.
Thank
Glad
you
to
very
be
much.
here.
Thank you very much for coming in, bro. It's good to see you, man.
Yeah, thank you.
We appreciate your time. I know you're a busy man, and just to come in and have a chat with us two ugly old buggers. We appreciate it, man. We appreciate
Speak
it.
for yourself.
You guys are doing some inspiring stuff too, so.
Oh, we try our best, mate. We try our best. So tell us, man, what are you up to nowadays?
I guess at the moment it's a bit of a whirlwind. It's work. It's work and more work. I mean, have to have that family balance as well. So it's kind of just trying to balance it and still make time for your family. But I've been working a lot lately, so I owe a bit of time to my family in the coming weeks. So I've got work obviously at Euro, and then I'm working on another project as well with a chef we used to work together with. It's called Tokura, and it's doing like it's kind of like a show mixed with the culinary side of it, and we're really excited about what's coming up with that too.
Awesome.
Tell us a bit more about Tokura. What is that?
Tokura is an idea that a good friend of mine named Sunny, we used to work together at Soba. So he came up with this idea, and we started speaking about it about a year ago. And it was basically he wanted to create a show that with each act, after each act would be dishes that were related to the act. This one is called Battle of the Brothers, I believe, and so we're talking about our ancient gods, Polynesian gods, and then you got like Rongo, who was a god of uncultivated food.
Yeah,
or I could have that wrong, but you got like the god of the forest, who battles the god of the sea, and so like you send the dishes are brought out by dancers, but like each act relates to the dish from that act. I mean the scene from the act. So it'll be like a dish with say an element of seafood and an element of the forest.
Oh, far out. That's pretty different.
Yeah, it is. I was really excited when you first told me about it.
Is it based on another one that's been done before, or?
So he did it the first time, I believe back in Rarotonga, and I believe that was back in 2017, 2018.
Yeah.
And I mean, he obviously this being a second time, I think he's learned something, and he's learned a few things, and now he can improve it more.
We're talking about ancient Pacific meals. Is that what you're saying?
I can't, because I can't really, like, say for example, I can't make a umu inside a kitchen.
Oh yeah.
But I'm trying to like use the ingredients that were indigenous to New Zealand, because this one is it's based on the Māori gods.
Oh yeah.
So trying to use that the ingredients that were indigenous to New Zealand to create these dishes.
Oh, that sounds fascinating.
I mean it's been good for me, because it kind of meant that I had to look at another element of food, then try to learn something else.
Seems like a real infusion of, I guess, performing arts as well as the culinary arts.
Yeah,
So it's a really nice blend, and it's something that I guess will keep the punters coming in and trying different things, right? That's really cool.
So this is going to be like a performance that you do every night, or is it once a week? Or
so we got 4 nights for the show, and I believe it's at the Civic.
all right.
Oh, wow.
And it's the 16th and 17th of this month, and the 23rd and the 24th of this month.
At the Civic.
Yeah,
That all been redone.
I could be wrong.
The
I'll tell you.
Civic's beautiful, mate.
That's the bottom, right?
There's still the lions and the
Okay. I think it's St. James Theatre.
Yeah, St. James is gone, mate.
That's gone.
Is
many
it gone?
months ago. St. James has, I think.
James is gone.
Yeah, the Civic's still there, because we went and saw a thing there the other week.
Yeah.
Who was it? West Side Boys or something.
Oh yeah.
Frankie Valley story.
Oh yeah, I heard that's really good.
It was really good, man. It was awesome. I really enjoyed it. I thought it was really well done. But me and niece hadn't been to, or my wife and niece hadn't been to a show before not for a long time.
Yeah.
So it was cool to go and see a show instead of a movie or something like that. Last time I was in the Civic, I was watching Predator, 1987, mate.
Yeah.
That's a wee while ago. So how did you get into becoming a chef?
So I guess it was through rugby actually.
Through rugby?
Yeah, so back in school, we used to get these rugby tours, and it was kind of just my way of making money just to pay for those flights instead of depending on my mom and depending on my family. They always did help out big time, but having that job on the weekend would mean that I could like save a bit of money for it.
Yeah.
And I guess just started off washing dishes, and then I used to watch all the chefs come at the end of the night. The chefs would bring all their dishes, and I used to think, man, you guys got such an easy job because you guys come in and give me these massive portions.
Do you still think that?
No, now I think that way. I've always said this, that I'm not downplaying the job that kitchen hands do, but their job is very hard and stressful on the body.
Yeah.
But on the mind, it's
That's you.
Yeah.
That's your
Yeah.
There's nothing where the chef, it's kind of stressful on the mind and can be stressful on the body.
Yeah, yeah. I can't think of any other job where you're serving up your creations to people and hoping that they like it, Or, because people are so picky that, humans in general are all over the place with their opinions and what they like, and you have to serve something consistently that tastes great all the time, right?
Well, after a few years, you kind of learn like what people like, and you have to learn now that if you do something every single day, you're an idiot if you're not getting better at it. Yeah. I was lucky, like with Euro, got Gareth, who was our exec chef for the group, and he's someone that I've known, and he kind of really got me into cooking. So I was chefing for about 3 years before I met him. Yeah. And then when he took me down to Soba, it's kind of where I actually started learning. Yeah. Started to realize all the other chefs that were up my age, they were so far ahead of me. So I had so much work to do, and I had wasted 3 years of cooking in places that weren't really going to get me anywhere. Yeah. But it did help me get a job there at Soba, and kind of like my career growth has kind of happened just from that one job. Yeah.
So had you always wanted to be a chef, or what you said it was just because of the rugby? Where you had to find.
Did you guys go to Raro for our school? Was it Raro or Australia?
Well, we went Australia for to Gold Coast, and then the next year we went Samoa and then Fiji. Oh. So those rugby trips,
Nick always does a good job getting big guys funding some jobs, and
I got mad respect for Nick.
He's a very good
he's really giving.
I don't know Nick, but I hear a lot about him, obviously through Jack and many other people that have gone through the Roskell grammar system. So obviously a very good man. So when you left school and you've had that experience of working in restaurants and things like that as a, what do you call them? Kitchen hand.
Kitchen hand.
Yeah. Sure. And you looked at these people with some envy and said, hey, do I want to do that? Is that what you said?
Well, I guess I kind of just fell into it. I to be honest, I didn't really know what I was going to do after I finished school. My NCA level 3 didn't qualify me for a good university course. Yeah. Sure. So I was kind of not sure, and so I did the kitchen hand thing, and then like one day I see a job, an ad for a chef in a place called the Occidental on Vulcan Lane, so Belgian beer cafe. Yeah. And I honestly just went and I sat at that interview, and I just sat there smiling the whole time because I was just so nervous.
It's a pretty decent smile, so not surprised.
Not surprised.
But I was lucky enough that she was like, I'm going to hire you just because you sat there and smiled the whole time. And it was like, that's kind of what got me into it.
That's the secret? Just smile?
I just smile.
Doors are open for you, huh? Easy. So you're putting a Pacific influence on the meals that you're serving down at the Euro bar?
So we, like our last menu was, so what we're doing right now is like every 3 months our menu changes per season. And we always have a different artist who comes and we base our work around that artist. So
what do you mean by artist?
So like for example, would have when I first started, they were gonna collaborate with a photographer named Hohua. He's I think
it's a bit of a mixer, Māori
Samoan Māori percent. Yeah. The work he does is amazing. Yeah. And so the whole menu was kind of inspired by some of his photos and about his heritage, and like with that, and I came in just at the right time where I could Gareth had his menu already made, and it kind of came in and I kind of helped and added like my little twist on it. For example, like doing Orca for that,
Yeah. Do you have to change the orca in any way to meet the palates of the people that are coming in?
Yeah, so our food is really simple. Our food is, as a Polynesian, what you eat, you kind of know what you're eating.
Yeah.
There's no real spices, no real mixes. So it was a challenge to try and do that, but not lose the identity of an island dish.
Yeah.
I don't believe I changed it too much, but I did add a few things just to help it out. Like for example, cook it instead of using coconut milk or coconut cream, I use coconut yogurt. Because it's not as dense, and then I had to add like something that will kind of balance it out. Same with the taro. You can't just put gallo on there, and then So like what I did was I cooked the taro until you overcook it, make it a puree, and you dehydrate it. And once you break it, you just drop it in the deep fry, and it kind of puffs up, which is like it was a real cool texture that you added to the orca.
That's real cool, science, food science. It's a real.
There's a lot to learning. I think it was a good choice for me. Kind of lets you, see your creative side, but at the same time, everyone eats, and there's so many cultures. I could be cooking for 50 years, and I'll still know only like 1% of what there is to know about food.
Culture. So it's good to do sort of specialize in what you know, right? What you were brought up with. What mum cooked for you, what your aunties and everybody else cooked for you, but you just put your own
little twist on it.
That's pretty cool, man. That's awesome. Now you talk about your chefs. Did you hire them, or do you have a hand in picking them, or?
So the chefs I have now, no, I didn't, because when I started, they were hired by Gareth and Chris, who's another unsung hero of the hospitality industry as well.
Really? What's his name? Chris?
Chris Law.
Chris Law.
He's the Scottish chef, real old school,
Nice.
Like not as bad as Gordon Ramsay, but sorry, Chris.
But does he give you a bit of an earful every now and then?
Well, he was my when he was a sous chef at Seoul when I was there when I was 21. So I've been yelled at a few times by Chris and Gareth.
What's a sous chef? So explain what a sous chef is.
So it's a sous chef is a rank in the kitchen. So it's basically, I don't know, in the army you got the general, and then what's under the general? Is it lieutenant? I always
I want to say major.
Major?
Same major.
Major sounds.
Major sounds good.
Major. Yeah.
And so that's who the sous chef is. They're basically the one who looks after the kitchen when the head chef ain't there.
Yeah.
And it's funny because like the kitchen brigade and the way it's structured was actually created by Napoleon. Because
Napoleon.
Bonaparte.
I
always think that too.
Napoleon Dynamite.
But like even to the point where we have our chef jackets with the buttons. That was the French army.
He was a great man until he went into Russia.
Yeah.
And then he sort of the winter got him.
Climate change got him.
Climate change. That's what it was.
Speaking of Napoleon, how was your time in France?
I loved it. I definitely a good time in my life where I kind of discovered food not as a chef but as my palate, and just to appreciate how good of the product they have over there. I did learn a lot about us Kiwis as well. And I always tell the story, like in France I kind of had my awakening as a chef. I'd been chefing for about 5 years before I went to France. And I remember I went and ordered a Capri salad, which was like mozzarella and tomato, some basil. And I remember we were sitting on the beach. It was a restaurant that was like actually on the beach. And I remember I took a spoon and then I put my spoon down and I looked up and I was thinking, wow, like this is like a really good experience, and I was like enjoying the flavors of the tomato and the creaminess of the mozzarella. And it just made me think like, man, I've been making this, like I've been putting this dish on, and I mean I've been like plating this dish for the past 5 years back in New Zealand, but I never realized, like I never thought about what it was going to do to the person who it was going to. And so that was kind of like, a good awakening for me too.
You realized what you are able to create and sharing that experience with other people that are going to have the same experience you're having on that French beach, right?
Yeah.
That's pretty cool, eh?
I mean, is that in Marseille?
Yeah, that was in Marseille.
Marseille.
I love Marseille.
How long were you up there for?
So I think all up it was maybe 6 years.
Oh. Can you speak the language?
5.5. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
I still, I think I make grammatical mistakes, but I think I'm always gonna have that with French because there's just so many rules.
Yeah, French cuisine is probably one of the most famous cuisines in the world, right? The French people know how to eat. They know how to drink their wine with their food. Yeah, everything's an experience on your palate, like you just discovered, right?
Yeah, they're passionate and they fight for what they believe. I mean, they're very there are people who like to debate everything, so they're very passionate when it comes to their food.
Wow. What about some of your Pacific influences? Like, is it Michael Meredith?
Actually, never met him.
Okay.
But I got mad respect for him and what he does.
Yeah.
You know, he's been rated up there. Like I think since he came on the scene.
He's been chefing for a number of years now.
Yeah.
When I used to work for a magazine called Specific, we did a few articles on. And it is Michael Meredith, right?
Yeah.
I almost forgot his name, but he had a restaurant also up in.
It used to be on Dominion Road.
Yeah.
It's called Meredith's.
That's right.
I remember I used to drive past it every day going to work, and
Yeah.
used to see like these blanked out windows with the.
Yeah. Because he was also doing, or from what I heard, was he was also doing pre-made meals, where you much like what's the other one that's in there at the moment? Well, anyway, prepaid food, and you buy them in packets. What is it?
Hello Fresh.
That's the one. Hello Fresh.
Be careful with their fish.
Yeah.
Don't sue us, Hello Fresh, by the way.
He was also
Fact check
creating
that.
some of that. Also, someone closer to you, Save.
Yeah, Save.
He's been doing pretty well. I mean, he's been wining and dining people down in Queenstown.
Oh man,
You know, helicopter in, and
Yeah.
he's been doing really well with his chefing as well, right?
Yeah.
And him and also Stephen Chong
Yeah.
started up their own food thing as well, which was going really well.
Keto?
Yeah, it was mainly keto when
Yeah.
Stephen was involved with CrossFit and stuff like that. But they had a good thing going there.
Yeah.
It's a shame they didn't continue it. But who else would have been your influences? Mum?
Yeah. I mean, the sisters, even my wife influences me now.
Yeah.
I guess.
What nationality is your wife?
She's French.
Oh, so okay, you met her over there.
Yeah. No, so we met over here. And we worked together.
Oh.
And then she went back, and 6 months later, I went to France.
Right.
I told everyone I was going to train as a chef, but really I was just
Not really.
following a girl.
There you go, right? That's not
Yeah,
a
the
bad-
story's okay.
But yeah, no, I don't. And my influences come from everywhere. Like I'm not really picky when it comes to eating. I'm actually quite happy and quite a simple eater. Like if someone gives me a plate of food, I am gonna, like, there'll be a thought in my mind about what I would do to it, but at the same time I'm gonna enjoy it and be present with it. So it's not, like a lot of people think that chefs are these people who only eat fine food, and no, we probably eat the worst out of everyone.
Well, you don't look it.
No,
Look, you're in pretty good shape, man.
keeps you skinny, the chefing. The
Does it?
hours. Yeah.
Why do you think that is? Oh, the hours, because you're working so hard.
Well, usually I have my watch and I'll kind of monitor how many calories I do a day.
Huh?
So there's, during busy periods, or like there'll be weeks where I'll probably do like maybe 49,000 steps a day.
Yeah.
So you'll get up to like 8,000 calories
Wow.
burnt.
Easily.
Just walking from stove to stove.
Yeah, and then just constantly moving. The good thing about chefing is it teaches you how to multitask.
Yes.
So like, we get a lot of, because we have an open kitchen, and you get a lot of people walk past and they'll see a chef, and like the elements that go into that one dish, you gotta kind of have to all have them ready at the same time. So you gotta multitask, you gotta do many different things.
Yeah.
And at the same time, you got someone on the pass saying 2 more beefs, 3 steak, this one medium rare. So it's, you got a lot to think about. And that was one of the things I found really hard in France, was the pass. And it was at a hotel called Resturants. The executive chef didn't like. He was a bit lenient with me if I went and asked him, "Oh, can you repeat that again?"
Of course.
But after the second week, there was no repeating anymore. You had to
mate,
listen and get it.
Get it? Wow. Otherwise, you're in trouble. It's start Gordon Ramsay in you.
Yeah.
Is Gordon? Are there many chefs like Gordon Ramsay?
I think before it was very popular to be like that.
Yeah.
Now it's way different.
Sergeant
I think.
Major.
You would find it quite hard. I mean, if somebody yelled at me like that, I'd be like trying to spit in the food and say, stuff it. You know?
Yeah. Well, you get a lot of people who walk out. The problem is now, like when I was younger, if you're working in a good place, you'll stay there and you take it because you want to learn.
Yeah.
Now there's so many good places, so you do that to one of your chefs, and he walks out. He's gonna find a job in like 2 minutes down the next door.
Especially in the current environment, too, right?
And it's really I mean, I think before the chefs never used to. We never used to go out of our way and poach another chef from another place.
Yeah.
But I think it was a chef. He said a few weeks ago that it's opening season. It's open season now for all chefs. Like so.
Oh really?
Yeah.
Because of the
I'm
lack
coming
of
for your chefs, like to everyone basically.
But that means they're coming for you too, right? Maybe,
honest,
right?
I don't know.
Might be throwing some money away, and not that you would take it.
They have recruiters coming over from Australia now who are basically offering you double the money.
Yeah.
Plus signing bonuses to go over there. You know?
That's how desperate it's got in Australia and New Zealand. That's good for you, though.
It's almost like footy.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And much like footy, the team that you have is your workers because you're the head chef. You have to be able to rely on them, right?
Yeah.
You have to trust them. You have to know that. Or you almost have to already know what you're going to say next, right? Is that the relationship that you have with those guys, or?
I mean, I believe that my leadership style has always been a bit different. I've always been I never try to be the the person that yells and screams. I'm more the person like I'm just really disappointed, but it's all right. We'll do better next time, I tend to think it works better.
Kill them with kindness.
Yeah, I mean, like, and they respond better. They work harder. I got a team there who come in early before they start, and they'll because the margins are so tight in hospitality. They'll work past the time that they're supposed to work, but they'll sign out at the time that they sign out because they have such a passion for it and they want to do such a good job,
Yeah.
I mean, you spend like 14 hours a day with these people. You
Wow.
gotta at least make it like an inviting environment for them to be there and a safe place.
Yeah. Are they Pacific people as well, or?
So right now I haven't got any. No, I'm the only one at the moment.
You're the only one.
But when I was at, like, say for example, when I started at Hilton, there was only myself and the head chef who were the only Kiwis in the kitchen.
Only
And then
Very international.
by the end of my time there, I had about 5 cousins working there.
There you go. No, nepotism.
Bring it one in. Why not? Why not?
Yeah, man. I mean, you're gonna sit at home do nothing. You might as well, get off the couch and come do a hard day's work.
Give it a go. What advice would you give people that would be thinking about becoming a chef at schools and stuff at the moment?
Don't jokes.
Cut that bit out. Only because you've got to be hardworking, obviously, right? That's the only reason why you say don't, because of, the struggles that you've had to go through to get to here, right?
I think everyone always asks me this. You gotta just be prepared to, like you said, work hard. You're gonna give a lot of your time to it as well. Gotta be a sponge. You gotta be able to learn. You gotta be, humble enough to listen to the people who've been in the kitchen long enough. But then you got to have a little bit of an ego as well in yourself, just to kind of help you get through those days when it gets tough, or someone saying the stuff is disgusting, So that was more than just one piece of advice, but
no, that's good advice.
And give it a go. I think like us Polynesians are really made for cooking. You notice like I noticed that when it comes to plating, it's kind of like an art. And I mean, like, look at your son's work and your daughter's work, they're just artists. Us Polys are artists when it comes to, all we need to learn is like the processes and the steps to doing a certain dish or cooking a certain meat. Once we know that and we're smart enough to actually get it, then like the rest of the other stuff looks after itself. And then also having a little bit of discipline. I think I'm a very undisciplined person, but like, say for example, even after working 14 hours, I'll still go to the gym at like 11 o'clock or 12 o'clock at night, or I'll get up at 4 o'clock in the morning and do a workout at home while, Like, I speak about Gareth. When I met him, he came into the restaurant I was working. It was a restaurant in Westmere, and he ate and he said, I really like the food. I think he might have been, he might have had a few, and he told my boss, the food's really good, like he's a chef. And so she came and told me, oh, you got compliments on the food? And I was like, yeah. And she was like, oh, he's the head chef down at Soba. And I was like, oh man, I got to get out and meet him. So I went out, met him, and then I went, and he told me I'll come on Monday for a trial. So I went on Monday for that trial, and then they had Melbourne Cup coming, so all I did was like peel tomatoes for 8 hours.
Oh, yeah.
And by the end of it, he sat me down and he was like, oh, listen, Wallace, I know I told you to come in for a trial, but I actually don't have a position available for you yet. This was during, I think, 2009, 2008, when we had that financial crisis.
Yeah.
So he said, I don't have an actual position ready for you, but, and I was like, oh yeah, so this guy just got 8 hours of free labor from me. And I was like, I was a bit disappointed, but I was like, oh, okay. And he goes, but when something does come up, you'll be the first person I call.
Yeah.
So like fast forward maybe like 6 months down the line, my boss at the time, she comes up to me and she goes, oh, listen, Wallace, I know we've been open for like 3 years, but I think it's time for me to close the restaurant. You know, it was a sad day, but at the same time I was thinking, oh, it's kind of a relief. Like, for me, I was staying there just because I thought that I was helping her.
Yeah.
So so we had this conversation, I was like, that's fine. And then about 20 minutes after I had this conversation, I get a phone call. And it was Gareth. He called me. He was like, Wallace, mate, I finally got a job for you. Oh. And I was like, and he goes, but it's on pastry. Like, are you gonna be alright? And I was like, yeah, definitely. I don't care. I'll work. But at the same time, my boss must have heard me say Gareth. So she came into the kitchen and she was listening to me on the phone. So I had both of them on the phone. I mean, I had her here and I had the phone here, and I'm speaking to Gareth, and I was like, it's alright, I got a job. And she was like, oh, it's fine. And then he goes to me. I asked him, oh wait, actually, when do you want me to start? And she was like, and he was like, 2 weeks. And then I turned around, I asked her, when do you want me to finish? And when do you want to close down? And she was like, in 2 weeks. So it was like a bit of serendipity how that all happened.
Right.
Wow, serendipity, that's a good word too for that. Yeah. That's what they say though, right? That new beginnings are often found in ends, right?
Yeah.
So that's a bizarre how everything worked out like that.
Yeah.
Right? Someone was looking out for you, brother.
Yeah, that's how I was saying I've been very fortunate. And then when you said something like you make your own luck, during my time there, I would always turn up 2 hours early. You know, you're not making any money, but it was just because, like I said before, when I noticed that all the other chefs my age were way far ahead of me, and I had so much catching up to do, so I would turn up that 2 hours early, or stay late, sign out, make sure that I was doing my 8 hours, but actually working, for 14 hours, or, doing that, coming in on my days off, and just doing those extra little things kind of like helped me get to where I am at today, because then Gareth always looked after me when I came back from France. I'd always go back to Seoul. He sent me to Fish, which kind of led to me getting an executive chef role at the Hilton. So there's been lucky there.
Wow, awesome, man. That's a great journey of hard work and luck and opportunities taken.
Blood,
sweat.
Yes, yeah.
But now you're the head chef, man. That's right, at the Europe.
Yeah.
That's amazing, bro. That's awesome. And again, when you're talking about the sacrifices you make and the things you have to do, the hard work that you put in before and after work, that's the same as like Monty Beetham, who's been on our podcast.
Yeah.
That's what he talked about, the hard work he had to put in before and after he was in the limelight, training harder and staying back. And
he still looks good for
someone that
retired.
He looks bloody good. But there's a few of them out there. Tana Umanga, he looks good.
Yeah.
Ruben Wiki looks like he can still put a jersey on.
Yeah.
It's a different breed of elite athletes that the generation are coming through now, where they don't just start drinking and become big and fat and stuff. They keep training and become influential. I was looking at like Carlos Spitzer. Oh my goodness, what the heck is that guy doing? Still a handsome man, still the king, man.
All those toffee pops.
That's what it was.
I remember those ads.
He was a handsome man. Disgusting.
Yeah, I would do it.
And then we look at even like Officer, right? Look at that guy. He's still playing cricket for New Zealand.
On that low, bro. Wicket keeping's not easy on the knees.
No, man, but he's still there. He's still, still inspiring and still doing awesome stuff. But
it shows you what us islanders are really capable of, when we really put our minds to something.
Yeah. Definitely, bro. Definitely. And if we look after ourselves when we're younger, I mean, a lot of them played very physical and hard sport, but you know, because they looked after themselves then, they can
They
still,
kind of, yeah.
still do stuff that they did back then now, you know,
Yeah.
after a long career in footy and stuff, which is amazing.
I guess that's one of the most important. I think it took me ages to learn. Like, you gotta like, you know, I had the most important thing. You know, like, you know, I had my brother Eddie who asked me like, what's the most important thing to you? And, you know, for us Islanders, it's all about gifts. So I always said, oh, it's my family. You know, to look after them. And he was like, no, I got the wrong answer. Tell me again, who's the most important to you? And I was like confused, like, what do you want me to say?
Yeah.
And he said, you should be the most important person to you, because he, you know, he told me about like filling my cup up. That way I can pour into everyone else's cup.
That's
you know?
right.
So when he told me that, I was kind of like, man, it's a really good way to think.
So true. It might sound a bit, well, Eddie's a wise man, bro. And he's pretty onto it, that boy. But what was I going to say? It's so true, because it might seem a bit selfish that you think about yourself first, but if you're not healthy, or if you're not fit, or if you're not mentally onto it, what good are you going to be to your family, you know?
Yeah.
That's like the old scenario in an aeroplane when you're crashing, you know? You put on your seatbelt on first, and then you put on because you might be able to save somebody else, you know?
Yeah.
I think is that a good?
I think it's the life mask as well.
Yeah.
That's what they always say.
And
Put
then
yours
you
on.
help the other people around you. I always hear that scenario, and I think it's a good one. But very wise words from Eddie.
Yeah.
You know that's a good point. It's not because you're being selfish for yourself. It's because you got to be strong enough to look after the people that surround you.
Yeah. I mean, and you can kind of see it, like why like in my mentality was always my family look after. I mean, they're the most important to me.
Yeah.
It's because like you see it in the way that we grow up, you know. And it's nothing against the church or anything, but like say I'll take church as an example where they used to give money and give, but you wouldn't have, you know, you'd put yourself into issues for yourself.
Yeah.
You know.
Well, we're a different generation coming through now. We
Yeah.
sort of see the benefits of looking after ourselves first, and then if we've got enough, look after the church.
Yeah.
You know, I'm sure God would forgive us for that. Cuz anything in closing? Well,
I guess for yours, are you considering, would you ever open your own restaurant? Say a bit like Monica Galati, she's a very famous Samoan chef, but I mean for you, is that in the pipeline? Is that something down
I think
the road?
so. I think that's something I definitely want to do one day. My dream is to actually have a place where I have a restaurant in the front on the road, and then if you actually move further into the building, that's where I'm living. Because it means, you know, I was saying this to someone, and me and my wife always talk about it, that if I work this hard for making money for someone else, so imagine when I'm doing it for myself and for my family, I think there's going to be no rest. That's why I kind of want to be at least close to home or at home. That's the big dream one day.
Awesome. That'd be cool.
it's a great dream, man. It's an awesome dream.
But I mean, it's kind of like, at least I kind of know what I need to work towards. And then so just take those micro steps to get to that big picture.
Well, you're building yourself a reputation, and you're also obviously in a good environment at the moment where people can see and taste what you do. So all of that will build into your dream, I would think, at the end there, where people will remember you from here, and now you've got your own thing, and they'll be more than happy to come along.
I'm still learning. Like I'm definitely still learning every single day. This, like for example, right now the menu that we have now is fully French inspired, and I actually didn't put anything on. I helped with it, but it's all Gareth's ideas that have come onto this menu, and he's really passionate about French food.
Wow.
That was what he trained with. So, you know, when he said, I'm like, Wally, let me take this one. I'm gonna. So I was like, yeah, sweet.
Is there escargot on there?
We tried, but the problem is we can't get escargot from France. You can get some, but they're like tinned.
Can't you just get the ones in the garden?
Get the one from the Mara, the federal operator.
Got one of
The
the
garlic butter. Have you tasted it? Yeah.
I haven't.
It mine's like really similar to prawns.
Yes.
And mushroom? No?
Yeah, I guess so.
Yeah. Well, prawns are more closely related to like cockroaches and that than
Yeah.
than fish.
The bottom feeder.
The bottom
It's so
feeder.
good.
Right,
They are good. Not good for the gout for some of our Pacific people, but
True.
I think there's gonna come a point where we're gonna be eating insects in about. I've given it about 50 years, but
I
it's
think so.
So Bill Gates has his way.
Oh really? We're bringing up Bill again? What's he up to now?
Oh, sorry, I had to cut that bit out. Put on Mitchell. Synthetic meat, mate. Synthetic meat.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, there's something.
That's like creating a cow with no head or something, right? It's just standing there. Oh wow.
I don't know. Something that doesn't sound right. I'd rather be a vegan than eat a.
But even all the GEOs, is it? And the GMOs and the food that we're eating at the moment, it's like getting kind of bizarre.
And you kind of see it with as polys, like our bodies weren't made to really take this type of food. We ate from the land, we ate from the
That's
sea.
it, bro. That's it. That's so right. And we didn't eat too often because the foods were
scarce.
And that's why I brought up fasting in our thing the other day, because especially for our Pacific people, we were hunters and gatherers, I would think, for thousands of years.
Yep.
And it's not until you go back into the Quabecs in Samoa that you see what we
used to do.
What we used to do and what we used to look like. You know?
Yeah, you see those.
I always tell my story of going in the Quabecs with my uncle. He was a priest and we were on our way to Alipaka. And a dude was walking along with his two baskets. One had taro and breadfruit. The other one had like fish. And he was just walking along. He was cut up like you wouldn't believe, man. Looked like he'd been in the gym for the last 4 hours or whatever, but there's no gym out there.
And I used to remember that going back to Samoa and just seeing my cousins, like, look at them like, bro, these guys are ripped.
Yeah.
You know? And then you get it because you're there on holiday and you wake up in the morning and they're already back. They're coming back with like coconut, putting the meal in the fridge, like, so it's cool for you when you wake up.
What a beautiful way to live, eh? I think now that I live more on the westernized sort of.
But they seem happier, you know. They seem like a lot of them were older, but they look young.
Yeah. Right. Anything else in closing, cuz?
Just a big merci beaucoup, Monsieur Mua. It's been really awesome to have you along, to hear your story, and always good to see a fellow Roskell person out there doing their thing. I look forward to coming down to Euron. Do you guys have afterpay?
I'm sure we can.
I'll wash dishes.
Organize afterpay.
I'm happy to wash dishes. Like, I'd love to come down and check out your cuisine. But thank you so much.
Thanks for having me. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, it's been good having you, Els. Really good. I appreciate your time. I know how busy you are.
Yes.
And we're just a humble podcast, but we do like to speak to influential and people that could make a difference, and the people that listen to our podcast lives. So. We just want to say, all the best with what you've got to do.
Sorry, guys.
That's the outro music. Good timing.
Leave it there, mate. It's like the credits are rolling.
Sorry.
Don't be sorry, bro. It's all good. But, we're just thankful that you came in, bro. You're starting to become a bit of celebrity, mate. Everywhere I go,
Master Chef. Master Chef.
Another article on the front of the magazines.
It's cool.
But I have to thank your sister Eva as well for asking you on my behalf to come on, and we do really appreciate it, brother. But we'll look forward to the rest of your journey, and hopefully one day when we can save up a bit of money, we'll come down and see you in your restaurant.
Cool. Sounds good.
So we know the head chef.
No, but thanks again as well. Especially like watching some of the episodes, and for one of our younger generations to hear some of these stories or someone else's stories, it's really good for them. Just or get them in the right direction as well.
Just to see that there's more avenues than just sport for our Pacific people.
Yeah.
And to see a young, good-looking fella like yourself taking on chefing.
That's my good looking.
Sorry, make your own time. You can be the new Toffee Pops model.
Or escargot model.
Whatever, whichever.
You guys must.
It's good to get those stories out there.
Awesome.
If anybody watches it, great. If anybody doesn't watch it, doesn't matter. At least we know, and
had a good chat.
I want to show my kids and your nephews and your brothers and your sisters. So, as I always sign off, all love, no hate. Fala ya.
Au revoir.